All right. Good morning to any replay viewers. If you're a replayer, you can still participate by tapping on the screen for hearts. You can share this broadcast. You can find me on Twitter. Hi, everybody joining in. And on Snapchat, especially if you have questions you want to ask, whether you want to ask about your personal financial situation or something related to it. Hi, Joe81. So, for everybody else that's now joining, come on in. Come in. Welcome. It's a little dark in here. I think sometimes when the sun is shining, it gets dark in here. But welcome to everybody who's joining right now. My name is joannazarach, and I do a daily money habits broadcast. I talk about money habits because creating good habits around your money is actually one of the most actionable way in which you can take control over money. And here's the thing, to most people, money is a very stressful thing. It causes a lot of anxiety. Most people let money happen to them. And instead of sort of waiting for the right time to take charge of your money, I advocate for just taking the habits, just developing the habits. And I talk a lot about the things that you can do. Yesterday on Mondays, I always talk about Mint. It's one of the easiest tools for you to get a hold of your financial situation. And today is on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I talk about a task. The task that you do to reveal something about your financial situation to yourself. So if you're new to me, I'm on every day, 10 a.m. Central Time, Chicago time, to talk about money habits 7 days a week. And then I am on for Money Matters. I do hope to. I'm planning on coming on at 5 today. So at 3:30 though, I have a financial assessment I'm doing with someone. It's just across the street. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can make it on time because I get very involved in helping someone understand their financial situation. So what is the topic of today and what it is that I want you guys to do? And by the way, I assign a task on Tuesday, right? I talk about a task that you can do. Again, it's some of the tasks I've done in the past is look at your entire income history and understand how much money you've earned so far, and then think about how much money you're going to earn in the future. To understand that, like, when we have a scarcity mindset about money, it's not often true. And so that's one of the tasks. Another one is just doing some equations, doing some worksheets. This usually involves a worksheet because here's what I'm trying to do around money beliefs. I'm trying to break them down and show you guys that you have access to money and you can take control. So the topic for today, and something that I'm actually going to do for myself. I get a lot of the inspiration, and thanks for everybody that's joining. Welcome to the broadcast. But here's what I want you to do. There is some fundamental money belief that you have around wealth accumulation. So of course it has to do with financial freedom, wealth accumulation. Like, what is the path? Like, what is it that you have to be doing in order to do the next step? And I have a set of beliefs, right? I preach those beliefs. A lot of them are fundamentally sound. Things I preach are pay off your credit card debt because double-digit debt will outstrip any investments, right? I talk about tax-deferred accounts, especially when you're cash flow challenged. If you want to know what cash flow challenge means, you don't have a lot of buffer between your earning and your spending. So taxes and tax relief can help you with that. I talk about investing in the stock market as a place to put your money, right? So I have a set of fundamental beliefs. And over the weekend, I was talking to someone, and I've heard other people say it, who says, 401ks are bullshit because you're going to get taxed on the money taken out when you go to retire at the same income rate instead of a capital gains rate, which is lower. And I said, okay, you have this belief. I don't think I agree, but I want to do the math, right? So find a belief that you have about money right now, something that you're pursuing, something that you're following, right? Whether it's a belief around debt, right? I met with someone who's paying off extra on student loan debts. It's at 2.7%. It makes no sense absolutely to pay extra on it, whereas your other debts are higher and you're not doing any tax deferred accounts, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, evaluate your set of beliefs and the set of actions that you're doing that you're like, no, this absolutely has to happen, right? I absolutely have to have a bigger house. I absolutely have to send my kids to private school. I absolutely have to take out $100,000 for college. Here's the thing. You need to do the math. And so the math I'm going to show you guys is, and this one's hard because when you do the math that challenges your fundamental belief and behavior around money, it can be extremely disheartening because you have to acknowledge that you've done something less than ideal. And the thing is that why you have to do it is because you can course correct. So I will be doing the math that I'm going to show you guys tomorrow in my walk the walk, right? I have to challenge my own beliefs. And the challenge for my beliefs is a tax deferred account truly the best way, right? Because I was asking, someone was asking me yesterday, I think one of the viewers on, we're on Twitter, about investing, in a brokerage account versus 401k. And again, my answer is like 401k first because of the tax deferred status. But you have to challenge your money beliefs with math because otherwise they're just that, they're just beliefs. And there's a purity of fact when you put it on a spreadsheet and you do the math. And so the thing that I'm going to do, that I'm going to undertake, which is fundamental, because I have been doing tax deferred accounts since I was 22, right? Like if you think about it, this is a fundamental core belief that I have, that I've been acting upon and been very, very successful on. But am I doing it? Am I doing absolutely the best thing for myself? Am I thinking about money in the right way? I read a blog about, I don't know if you guys follow, I think the blog is called Go Curry Cracker. And the guy's going through his tax return, right? And all of these things. I'm like, oh, the capital gains are really taxed at a lower rate. The dividends, qualified dividends, right? And so I'm questioning my own set of beliefs around money and tax deferred accounts. And again, I've been very, very successful following my, so the other thing is, if you've had success following your money beliefs, don't like despair and think, oh, I did it wrong, right? Like you got to where you are because of your money beliefs. And now it's okay to go, okay, I'm here. Are my money beliefs still consistent? Still the best thing I can do with the money? Because what you need to do is dispel them with a math equation. And then you have to be okay. You have to accept, forgive yourself, right? This is a big part about money and financial difficulty or failures or shame, is to forgive yourself, to say, I had no idea. I didn't know. But I showed it to myself. I proved to myself that in this circumstance, and by the way, your circumstances will change, right? Everyone's circumstances are different. Your marginal, sometimes the financial, the numerical circumstances are different. So take into account your own situation, your marginal tax rate, your income potential, your willingness to do certain things, your desire for goals, how you want to spend your time. All of these things will factor into what's right for you. But at the end of the day, the equation will still, hello everybody, I know people are joining. The equation will still determine if you're right or not. So that's really scary, by the way. It's really scary to challenge your money beliefs with math. Hi everybody. If you're just joining and if you're new to me, my name is joannazarach. I'm doing great. And I do a daily money habits broadcast. So tomorrow morning I will be challenging my money belief that tax-deferred plans are the best way to go. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to do the math. Like that's the thing where I have to I have to set up like a math equation. This math equation probably has 12 to 15 variables, right? It's the marginal tax rates. It's the thing I've never wanted to do. I've always said, man, that's too complicated. I don't even want to think about it. Yes, excellent. I'm a Mint converter. As you know, I just feel like it's fundamental. And again, it's Mint today. Mint's just the tool. And again, I shared the tools that I feel like are the best. Mint.com. It's mint.com. It's a web-based financial management app. The best I can say it. It's basically a website or a program, and it's owned by Intuit that also does TurboTax and Quicken and QuickBooks. So they do a lot of software that manages finances. But Mint.com is a free app or free web-based program that basically aggregates all your financial information into one place. So you log into one place and every single one of your financial accounts goes in. I am a great fan of Mint. I've been using Mint for years. It is part of my habit. Like one of my habits is I go in and I log into Mint every day and I see what financial transactions are there. No, it's okay. No, I talk about Mint and sort of Mint usage every Monday. And so sort of how to use Mint and how to incorporate it. If you ever want to, I highly recommend it. I think out of all the, and by the way, like Mint is how I monitor like my beliefs. No, yet, я не говорю по-русски. I took Russian for a couple years when I was younger. It was mandatory. I'm from Poland, so we had mandatory Russian classes back in the 80s. That's the thing. So, I mean, whatever you're doing with your money, it stems from some sort of belief around money and how the money works and how it will benefit you. So evaluate it, like what you need to look at and say, how am I spending my money, right? So so different things. Income is a belief. Like I can only earn so much. By the way, that's a belief. That's not a fact. I can only earn so much is a belief. And if you challenge that belief, if you do the math, if you say, I'm making $36,000 a year, what do you expect me to do? Like I can barely live on it. I can't save. So I would challenge you and say, you do not understand me well. Okay. I sometimes speak too fast. I understand. I try to speak slower and enunciate. So income limitation is a belief. If I said try to find a way to make $100 a month extra, and you say, well, just not possible for my job, say, does your job take 24 hours out of your day, right? Like, so it's really challenging it. By the way, if you want to raise, I've seen a couple references. I know I talk about a couple of people that I really respect that I think have great ideas on how to increase your income. Ramit Sethi from I Will Teach You to Be Rich has like not just ideas for people. I will teach you to be rich. Yeah, I just typed IWTYTBR. It's literally the phrase, I will teach you to be rich. So he gives people ideas on how they can take their skill and translate into money, how they can make more money. But I also heard he's got a really amazing guide to like negotiating a higher salary, right? So if you're salaried, I will teach you to be rich. So that's one, like the sentence, no periods. If you type in, I will teach you to be rich into Google, he's got a very nice SEO. You'll find him. And the name is Ramit Sethi. So he has developed, Nyet. So he has developed methodology over time. And by the way, he started in personal finance, which always near and dear into my heart. But he's developed, he's done this for years now. He's developed a lot of methodology. I don't intend to recreate the wheel. And that's, by the way, not what I'm passionate about. I love the math. I love the investing piece of it. I love, the consumer to investor transition. And so, but income limitations, one. So if you have an income limitation belief, put it into a spreadsheet and say, this is my income limitation belief. How can I conquer it? Can I really earn more money? And how would I do that? Another one is it takes all this money to live on belief. And then you really need to evaluate how you spend your money. And that's often associated with this is required to live. This type of house is required. This type of technology is required. Private school is required. This is, all the requirements. But you got to do the math. Okay, so I'm reading an article in Cranes. If you're in Chicago, I'm reading an article in Cranes on student loan debt. Whew, it blows my mind, right? Because people have taken out $100,000 loans and they really didn't do the math because no one taught them. Like the banks were very eager to lend them the money for them to go to school. And so your belief around student loan debt, or that you need this student loan debt, and people, again, don't think about purchasing their education. They see it as free because they didn't have to earn when they got the money to get it. But your belief around that is limiting you from doing the math, right? You have to do the math. If you're going to go to school, please, please, please do the math. Ask yourself, what will my salary be after I graduate? And what's the payoff for this loan? And by the way, can I get a similar education for less elsewhere with just a little bit of legwork that's going to position me for the same job transition? I'm a big fan of education. I'm not saying it's not necessary, but you need to do the math behind it, right? So do the math behind your education. When you do debt payoff versus investing, do the math. When you're doing retirement calculations, like what it is that you want to retire on, and or even, and again, I push for financial freedom, which is ahead of retirement. It's faster, it's sooner. But that's, and again, it's a lot of times our beliefs limit us from taking actions that are actually more rational and logical and profitable. And so that's what I challenge you to do. Identify something around money. Maybe you're doing it and you think you're like, oh my God, I'm already doing it and I'm successful, or I'm going to buy a house, right? Or I'm going to do this. You need to do the math to really, to kind of open to yourself, like to admit to yourself on the decision, because it's a decision then, right? But then you want to go from a belief to an informed decision. Beliefs are kind of like following blindly, right? You're following blindly a certain path. A lot of people prey on that. Like if you've ever gone to a seminar that promises you a get rich quick, they are hoping that the belief will override your irrational decision making, that you're not going to step in between and go, okay, if I'm paying $5,000 for the seminar and another $10,000, and they say, all I need is another $10,000 to hand over to own property. Well, how does the math work, right? If you start questioning how the math works, you're kind of not their target market anymore, because typically the math won't work. And so people rely on your money beliefs that they've maybe just taught you to carry you over the threshold, which would be completely walled off if you used rational decision making. And so that's why it's so important to do the math. And it's hard. It's hard when you do the math and you go, shit, I was wrong. Or sometimes you do the math and you go, I'm right, right? Like, so it's not always like a negative to do the math, right? But there is a chance, there is some likelihood that you're not right about everything. I haven't been right about everything, right? By no means. But I can, when I say something to you guys, I want to be right about it. Yeah, well, we're not quite at the world of instant translation, but we will be. By the way, instant verbal translation will come around really soon, guys. That's why I stopped learning languages, because I don't see the point anymore. Instant translation, like pretty soon, Periscope will not only be global in terms of reaching English speakers, but very, very soon we'll have the capacity to speak in one language and listen in another. So, sorry for now, it's not yet, but pretty soon, guys, pretty soon. The technology's already existing. I think it's the speed. It's the speed of translation. Everybody does, people do speak English, but you know what I find? There are certain topics that are more difficult to comprehend in another language, right? So I'm Polish and I speak Polish, but I can't talk about business in Polish because I never learned the vocabulary of business in Polish. And then I can't talk about, like when I was studying neuroscience, I can't talk about science in Polish because I don't know all the words. So technical languages, technical pieces of it are still difficult, I think, for non-English speakers. At least for me, from my experience. So, but we're there. Yeah. Gdzie ty żyjesz? In Chicago. Chicago in Illinois, in the U.S. See, look, I picked up just enough Cyrillic to understand that question. But no, my Russian's yeah, not enough. Anyway, so that's it. That's the task for today. The task for today is take some fundamental belief. It's usually a limiting belief, but even like limiting beliefs are one, and I feel like those are fairly easy to get over. But the success beliefs, this is the thing. The belief in what you think is going to make you financially successful, like here is what's standing between me and financial freedom, and whatever you think the success is, that's the hardest one to give up. That's the hardest one to test, to say, is that actually true? Like a lot of people sell on the idea that making a 7-figure income, and they're going to get you there in the next 6 to 12 months, is the answer to financial freedom. I think that making a 7-figure income is a terrific thing, but I don't see most people do it, right? Like it's really, really, really hard. And so I think that making a good income is important. I'll say a 6-figure income is something people should strive for, to figure out how to get there. Like maybe you're not there, but how would you get there structurally? And then I think 5-figure income is extremely difficult to live and build a savings that's fast enough. It's not possible. Many people have done it, but it takes a lot more discipline. It takes a lot more discipline. Yeah, you're right. It's a little distracting. Goodbye. It was nice for you to join. And so so the discipline required at certain income levels is a lot, right? There are definitely people who have built up financial freedom on a 5-figure income. What I'm saying is it's possible on a 6-figure. It's not just possible, it's actually extremely effective. And then people who strive to make a 7-figure income, and they're like, well, that's going to be easy. That's an actually very challenging thing to do. Like I've never had 7 figures because you really need employees and company. You need more. Oh, hello. How are you? You're going to need more infrastructure. Like you need to understand what's going to take. And by the way, 7-figure revenue doesn't translate to even, it depends on profitability, right? And that's the other thing. Most people aren't looking at, a lot of people looking at the top line. What if your income is just enough? So if it's just enough for you to live on, yeah, and so you're going to have to look at your income potential, right? So you're going to say, okay, I have another 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, whatever your time in the workforce. So you have to start looking ahead and saying, what do I need to do to increase my income, right? Like if your income is just enough, and evaluate that too. Like look at that and say, has my life, and some stuff definitely. I mean, like studies show, right? $75,000, that kind of pays for all the things you need in today's economy. Like if you live in an urban center, it's probably a little bit more. If you live somewhere where it's a lower cost of living, might be a little bit less, but somewhere between 50 and 100 where you live comfortably, right? And so when your income's just enough, here's the thing. You've got to ask yourself, what's my income potential and what am I doing to affect it? And by affect it, it means what am I doing with my time or my effort or my, skill to see if I can do more. One is if you have a current employer, so right, you've got to invest. Sometimes it's investing your time, right? So if you have income that you haven't, if you're employed, you can see if you can get more money from your employer, and you're only going to get paid more if you're adding more value, right? And again, Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I know he has like a get your salary up. The other thing is outside of your employment, if you're pretty secure, it's not challenging, but there's no upside. Like some lines of work top out, right? Like you may be here, but this is the limit in your field, right? So you're like, okay, I can get another $10,000 at my employer or at another employer. In another employer. That's where you may say, okay, can I switch jobs? And that's risky, right? Because maybe you've kind of gotten used to your work environment. So everything you have to do, it's going to be stepping outside comfort zone. Guys, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. The other thing is just look at alternative sources of income, additional income, right? To say, outside of my job, can I use my skill set to get additional income by freelancing? Can I use one of the other blogs I recommend, Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn? Are there ideas out there that I can implement? Whether it's my interest, the time I have, the effort I'm willing to put in, and start doing, right? I don't know, there's like a whole bunch, right? Yeah, so explore that. And don't go after necessarily someone who can't trust Social Security. So you're saying you don't think Social Security is going to be there for you? Social Security is not going to go bankrupt, guys. The Social Security, the thing is about Social Security, it's going to start paying at a lower rate than what the cost of living, the cost of true living is. So Social Security was never meant to be, yeah, so Social Security was never meant to be a retirement plan, and too many people are thinking about it that way. Social Security was really just that. If you look at the history of it, it was developed in the late 30s. It was really developed for people at the end of their life, because 65 was pretty, most people were like dead by then. So the age of 65 was really, people were unable to work at a factory because of physical ailments. And so, but also for like widows, because again, it was a different structure. Social Security was created in a different social structure. And it kind of morphed into this idea that somehow it's a retirement plan. It's not. Like in that time, people had pensions, right? And like throughout the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s even, people had an employee-employer obligation where there were pensions. And Social Security was really for people who didn't have access to that, who were really suffering. It was really meant like subsistence, survival. So Social Security won't pay for you to live on. It'll just pay the minimum, right? Like a lot of times Social Security gets turned over to an institution that takes it. Pensions are hard for employers. It's a long-term obligation that's really hard to calculate. So it's really impacted profitability. So I'm a corporate consultant, I'll tell you. The people living longer is great and not great, right? Because pension structurally is very difficult to change pension rules. And so this is why our city and state governments are suffering. Interest rates won't help. That's right. The interest rates are at all-time low, which is great for borrowers, terrible for savers. That's why I'm trying to get people to invest, right? To follow the money. And by the way, investing in the stock market, like right now, it's just a man or women. I'm a woman. Don't worry about it though. Smart person. And yeah, they are. And that's why you need to look at your position and your skill set and say, you don't want to be in a place that's a part-time, that's moving to part-time, right? You gotta take responsibility for your future and your income potential, right? So if you're doing retail, like part-time, a lot of retail jobs are part-time. Drivers, a lot of like hourly jobs are going part-time, even teachers, right? And so, who's calling? I don't know. I never give out my phone number because I never like, so it's always spam, or always an unwanted call. Anyway, so you need to take a look at the industry that you work in, and assess your skill set and say, how can I build on my skill set? What is it that I need to learn? If you just expect to show up and get paid, that's a fast way to know, like a fast path to nowhere. You are going to have to recognize that you have the capacity to learn a skill that's valuable. You must, yeah, right. That's why I never answer those. Don't answer phone calls from numbers you don't recognize. And if I don't have a scheduled call, and if it's not a number I'd recognize, I do not answer it. I just don't care. I'm like, it's just not, if it's important, they're leaving me a message. And yeah, like you might have one trip to Bahamas. Don't waste your time, by the way. If someone calls you, don't even waste the time, tell them it's the wrong number, or tell them no, because it's 2 minutes of your life. You could have learned something. Anyway, so that's it. I mean, Social Security, speaking of Social Security really, it's not that don't count on it, it's just see it for what it is. Pensions are going away. That's why it's so much more important for you guys to learn about managing finances. Why? Because you're structurally expected to. Granted, there isn't, because you wasn't expected 20 years ago, you probably didn't learn it in school. And there was a push to get people more to learn about it. But just because you didn't learn about it doesn't mean you can't learn it now. And there was more resources now than ever, and a lot of them are free, and a lot of them are good for you to learn finances. But like everything else, if you've ever learned a skill in a profession, you don't just show up to work and just go, okay, well, I'm going to just wait till someone tells me to do something, right? I mean, usually you have training and stuff, but then you start doing, right? And then you learn. You start doing, you run into difficulty. You have a manager or supervisor. You ask them how you do it. Next time you already know how to do it. It's the same with money. You've got to learn by doing, right? You've got to learn by doing. You've got to get rid of your limiting beliefs. You've got to make sure that what your beliefs around success are actually feasible and are backed up by math. This is why I'm so drawn to money and financial advice, because a lot of other areas of life, it's not as objective. But when it comes to money, when it comes to numbers, this is why I love business consulting too, because you can argue with me until we're blue in the face, but I don't care. Show me the numbers, right? I want to see the numbers. I wanted to see the numbers, prove it out. If you're telling me a story about your business and I'll say, well, how many customers you have? And you're like, oh, you have 5 customers and this is how much money they bring. It takes, it takes money to, it doesn't take money to learn though. It takes time. And if your time is money, then yes, that's in some ways you give up your potential to make money when you're taking the time to learn. But everybody takes, so I did this exercise years ago now where I was like, I don't have time for stuff. And I did time tracking. If you've never done time tracking of your own time, then don't talk to me about being too busy, right? I time tracked my activities and I realized I watched so much TV and I just stopped. I said, I have my limiting belief of not having enough time was gone because I was on black and white. I had like a pie chart of how I spend my time. And I said, I have the time. I have the time to do all the things I want to do. And I have the time to take care of all the things I need to do. I just need to prioritize. So I have, when it comes to time, make sure you do your time tracking exercises. And then it doesn't necessarily take money. I mean, you will most likely be, the easiest thing to find are the one that costs money. But if you dig a little deeper, you can find stuff for free. Everyone who teaches out there offers some of their wisdom for free. I can tell you about every aspect of life where I'm like, you know what? So-and-so gives so much stuff for free. You don't really need any more. Like for business, for example, for starting enterprises, there's this guy, Dan Martell. I love that guy. I met him at a conference and I follow him. Dan Martell. You can, that's DANMARTELL, danmartell.com. That guy gives so much stuff away for free in terms of building enterprises. It's unbelievable. Why does he do that? Because he doesn't need to make money. He's already been really successful. And he decided at some point, he's like, I'm going to give people all this information, all this knowledge I've gained by being successful. And I'm going to share with people what works. Do you know what though? The advice that he gives, it takes a lot of work. That's right. Periscope is you pay zero money to be here. If you find it not useful, you move on. If you find it useful, I answer any question everybody has about money, personal finance, taxation, investing, income, right? I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you where to go. And if you just follow the breadcrumbs, I do that. I learned from Smart Passive Income. I don't know anything about the digital world in terms of income making. I'm a consultant. I know how to sell my time just at a very, very high rate. But you know what? I want to make money different ways. I want to have different streams of income. So guess what? I'm learning. I learned how to be on Periscope. I learned by doing, right? I learned how to be on Twitter. I had 0 followers in December. I have 500 some, and they're quality followers, right? I just learned how to do. And you know what? It's not easy. It's freaking hard. It is disappointing to not get what you think you want to get as fast as you want to get. And, but you know what? Next day, try it again. Keep trying it. This is money habits, folks. Habit around money. Every day, I log into Mint. I don't skip a day. I do what I say you should do. I don't say, oh, well, for me, I have an accountant, a tax professional, an investor, blah, blah, blah. No. I do this. I did my brother's taxes on Sunday. I was joking. My brother calls me 2 reasons, death or taxes, and it was taxes. He never calls me, which is okay. But because he's like, hey, can you do this for me? I said, sure. You know what? Pain in the butt. But it's a simple return. The only thing is that he lives in Pennsylvania, so I have to do a Pennsylvania return. But whatever. I do all that stuff, and I do all the habits, and I practice what I preach. And so that's why tomorrow morning, I will be trying to figure out if tax deferred, trying to do the math behind this idea that I hold very dear to my heart, that tax deferred accounts are the way to go. And I have to see if I'm right or if there's something else in the tax law. Remember, all of these beliefs are boxed by current rules. So some beliefs, you can't necessarily have them forever and ever because the rules may change, right? There were some things that were facts can change, right? Home ownership, there was always the rule of home ownership was a good way to go. And we all experienced how that, just having that belief without doing the math wasn't true. Right? People took mortgages they couldn't afford. They bought more house than they needed. All of these things because of the set of beliefs. But if you showed them the math and you said the mortgage you signed up for in 3 years is going to go up by 300%, can you afford $5,000 a month? And you go, holy crap, my income potential is only $3,000 a month. So I thought I could afford the $1,000 a month interest only payment, but there's no way in hell I can afford $5,000, and that's what you signed up for, right? And so not doing the math yourself, just following a belief is really, really, can be very treacherous. So that's the thing. So whatever belief you have, and by the way, if you have a belief and you say, here's what I think, let's do the math, I'm always happy to do the math with you. I've done a bunch of math, like paying off debt versus investing, right? But this one's a longer term belief. And I'm very curious because, again, I have this friend who won't start a 401k. And he's 41. And I'm like, dude, you have no money. It was, but you know what? The banks had no incentive to check. I just watched The Big Short. And the thing is that, like, the incentive was squarely with the brokers who were selling the mortgages, and the banks were not doing due diligence. And because the banks were actually using the mortgages to generate more money by selling them in these packages to investors. I have not written any books yet. I'm sure there's a book in me. I did it before I was ready. Find me on Twitter. That's the best, or Snapchat. Twitter or Snapchat. Those are my two favorite communication platforms at the time. Do not email me. I can't even get back to anyone on email. I will. It's interesting because there's a formula, right? Yes, find me on Twitter. And if you're Overdose with Love, whatever your handle is, or Snapchat, if you add me on Snapchat, I add everybody back because I'm small on Snapchat. On Twitter, you might have to tweet at me or tell me your Twitter handle. Free market. Sorry, I didn't finish reading your question. If you can, I don't know if you can repost it about the free market question. But yeah, you can. I'm happy to help you with the math because I love getting examples where people go, "This is my belief." Why? Because I only have this is my set of beliefs, right? It's very narrow, and I've been following them, and so when I say I like my beliefs, is because I've been very, very successful implementing them. And so I tell you, I'm like, here's how my success has happened. These are the things I did. Oh, you're very welcome. So the formula, there's a formula of coming out into the world, like launching and everything. It can't, so the banks, the bailout, the banks, but it's on us too. When individuals make financial decisions, it is confusing. You can be sold to. So I don't underestimate the power of someone else to tell you something that's absolutely wrong when they have an interest of their own. That happens all the time in the financial industry. By the way, there was an article in The Economist that I tweeted out yesterday that talked about how much money the finance industry makes. And it's not actually in the banking even. It's assets under management and how profitable the industry is and how it's kind of getting a little bit crumbling a little bit because of robo-advisors and people going, shit, that's a lot of money I'm paying. Like, maybe I should just do it by myself. By the way, you should always, always, always invest yourself. Like, you don't need an advisor. This is not statistically true that they'll outperform the market. They just won't. 96% of actively managed funds do not overperform that market. And you're paying a fee for that. You're paying a fee for someone to lose your money, like not make as much as the market. And that's why. Yeah, finance. I mean, corporate consulting's like sort of related to it, but we don't work in finance. And so, but I had a lot of iBanker friends, or some people were like, oh, you can go to iBanking, private equity. And every time I was like, I can't do it. I can't wash myself. And so the finance industry is just very fascinating. It's money upon making money. Yeah. And so I'm trying to, so the reason I don't have anything like a platform or a website or book is because I decided, F it, I'm just going to start talking about it and I'll get there. Like, I don't want to hold back on the knowledge that I have. I want And I'm not the only one, by the way, guys. There's a lot of people who are trying to push out the messages around the truth in personal finance. Yeah, I love finances too. And the thing is, though, I was like, look, I got something to share with people. And so I wasn't ready, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get out there. And I'm using Periscope because to me, being a public speaker is just super easy. And I just have no qualms about, looking like I just woke up because, I'm in my gym clothes because I haven't gone to the gym yet. And I said, you know what? I know things and I'm going to share them with people. And so there are other people who are doing the same, but we are in the minority. We are not the loud voices because you know what? There is no money in truth. There's just no money. Okay. There's more money on the other side. This is the money you can make in speaking the truth about personal finance. And this is the money you can make in taking money from people because you've sort of spun a little bit of web around them. There's a way more money to be made from ignorance, from people's ignorance of finance. I'm sick of it. I don't think rich people need any more money. That's why I was like, people are like, oh, you could just, advise a family office. Okay, so I can make a multimillionaire more money. Oh yeah, that makes me, I don't need it. I feel like we should all have more advantages in life. Everyone should have more advantages in life, and the rich people don't need to get any more richer. They will be fine. Yeah, like I get pressure. I've gotten pressure from everyone I've met. Say, wow, you're so smart. You can make a lot of money. I'm like, what if it's not about that? What if I have enough? Like, what if I just do what I enjoy? So no, I've given it up. I made a conscious decision to stop pursuing a higher income, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm much happier sharing the wisdom that I have or the knowledge that I have or the learnings that I have with people who go, I had no idea, right? And empowering them to take the right steps and not going, well, let me give you a life insurance policy that's costing you $5,000 a year because you really need it. No, you don't. Anyhow, wrapping it up. Join me later, 5 p.m. today. I'll be talking about how to start investing with $100 or less. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys, for months I was on Periscope and nobody was listening. But you know what? I showed up every single day, 7 days a week. I showed up. I have a streak. October 19th to today, I have not missed a day, and I have a streak because I'm that committed to that cause. I'm that committed to just talking about it. And now I have people that are listening, and I've just been really grateful. I've been really grateful for people who join and give me their attention, for people who share with their following when they're, sharing a similar message, and for people who encourage me. And so I'll keep showing up every day. And this afternoon, 5 p.m., I'll talk about 5 p.m. Central Time. I'll talk about what are some options to invest if you only had $100 or less. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad you found me too. I really do. I feel encouraged. And then tomorrow morning, it's going to be a tough one. Like, am I right? Am I right in my profit? It kind of my talking about deferred tax accounts, and is that the right call? So we'll do the math and we'll see what it looks like. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here and spending the time. And don't forget, the biggest gift that you can give to me is take what I'm saying and take an action. If not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but take control of your money. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like sometimes you feel like it's too late for me. I'm like, well, first of all, it's never too late. And if you have kids, oh my God, that is the greatest gift you can give them. That is, you can set your kids up for life of never having to suffer or worry about money. That is a huge gift. So yeah, keep on joining. And no, I won't stop. I'll just keep diversifying my message. I'll get that Facebook page set up, right? Like, little by little. And I still have my consulting practice because I didn't shut it down yet, right? I was like, I don't know, this money advising, where's it going to go? And so I still consult about 10, 20 hours a week to my local small businesses, small, mid-sized businesses, because I enjoy it too. I enjoy the challenge of helping people grow their businesses and help them do it profitably. So I love numbers. Okay. All right. I had to run. I'll see you guys later today and tomorrow. Thank you so much. And if you're just joining, you can catch the replay. All right. Bye.